we'd like to invite you to close your eyes and relax, rest in the presence and hold space.
Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vignya Karadura Hamari. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vignya Karadura Hamari. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. 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 Omega Dantaya Vidmahi Vakrajundaya Dhimahi Tanno Danti Prachodayat. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. 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 Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vignya Karadura Hamari. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vignya Karadura Hamari. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Ganapataye Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Gam Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Gam Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Jai Ganesha Gananata Dayaniti Sakala Vignya Karadura Hamari. 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 Namo Namaha. Gam Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Gam Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Gam Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Namo
Namaste.
Namaste.
Welcome to our weekly online satsang. Satsang being a Sanskrit word that simply means really spiritual community, literally community of truth. Wherever two or more seekers of truth, awakening, transformation come together to share their journeys, their presence, their energy, we have a satsang. And it strengthens us exponentially. Being part of spiritual community is essential in the journey of awakening and transformation. It doesn't need to be your specific belief system or religious background. We probably have more in common with each other if we are awakening or awakened than we might have with the members of our own background, our own faith tradition. So find a group of people that are in the process of transformation and spend time together, and you'll find great benefit from that. It's a time on earth where we simply must awaken from the nightmare of competition, conflict, and war to the new earth of cooperation, harmony, and peace. And that's not going to happen through a political movement. It's not going to happen through a philosophical movement or a spiritual movement, except the real kind of spiritual movement, which is the awakening and the shifting of the consciousness, the collective consciousness of all humanity. That happens one person at a time. And as each of us awakens, it sends out ripples into the collective consciousness, making it more possible, making it easier, making it more swift, the journey of awakening for others. Eventually, most of us at this point believe we'll hit a critical mass where the entire collective will awaken. Right now it's one person at a time, and the teeter-totter, the scale is just beginning to tip from delusion of separation and darkness to awakening and light. And so that's what we're about. Doing it online like this, we can connect with our brothers and sisters all over the world, other countries, other continents, where the matter of distances and political boundaries could make it difficult for us to come together like this were it not for the internet. So we're very grateful for that. We share throughout the webcast the Flowering Heart Blessing, which is a direct transmission of divine consciousness and presence from Source to bring about awakening in the receiver. When the divine shared this one with Suzanne and me, we've both been involved in energy transmissions for decades. But about 8 years ago, the divine gave us this and said, start sharing this one. And tell people it doesn't come through a person, not an avatar, a master, a saint, a hierarchy, or a human organization. It comes directly from me to whomever I choose to give it to as a gift of grace and unconditional love. So since it is a gift of grace, don't charge for it. Give it to people freely and let them know it comes directly from me. Also let them know if they're interested in being conduits of this grace for others, just let me know. If they've received one Flowering Heart Blessing, they're already initiated and activated to be able to share this. You would just need to invite the divine to pour it through you at a distance, by intention, or in person through touch, through gentle laying on of hands on the top of the head, with the consent of the person who's receiving, because this really does bring about some dynamic changes in the lives of people. It has a special focus. We've experienced many different kinds of Diksha, Shaktipat, and blessing over the years, but this one, the Flowering Heart Blessing, Hridaya Vikasa Diksha, focuses on the flowering of the heart in union with the indwelling divine presence. So it initially activates and opens the door to connect with the inner divine source, which is your true nature. It is your essence. It is the real you. And it is already enlightened, and it is 100% divine. It turns out you're the one you're looking for. And we can keep looking on the outside here and there, searching with various teachers, and we can benefit quite a bit from that, actually. But we might miss the point that the outer world is a mirror reflecting the inner world, so any light that we've discovered out there that's helped us on our journey is just a mirror to show us what's shining out of the center of our own hearts. When we connect there, and that begins to flower and blossom and shine out like the celestial sun from the center of our hearts, that's when transformation is full on. So, welcome. And do join us in sending the Flowering Heart Blessing throughout our time together tonight. Yeah. So Christine asked, what's the name of the music playing? Love it. And that's called Gam Ganapataye, which is a piece of the mantra, Gam Ganapataye Namaha, which is the mantra, one of the mantras that invokes Ganesh, the elephant-headed god with a fat human belly and body and an elephant head, and he is the remover of obstacles and a great spiritual friend to have. And that version is by our good friend Angelica with a K. We're fortunate to know Angelica and to have her as a friend for many years, but she very generously gives us permission to use her copyrighted music in our presentations, our live streams. So we've been using Gam Ganapataye for the Monday night satsangs for
long time.
a number of years. It's just so nice. We just continue to use it because we're just holding space, really, and invoking the presence for that first 10 minutes. And
Her website, if you want to check out her other music, is angelicahealingmusic.com. And like Michael said, it's spelled with a K at the end of Angelica. And that particular tract is from a CD called Diksha, Deekshaj.
well, there you go. So, while I'm thinking of it, please give us a like or a love. If you're with us on Facebook Live, you'll see a thumbs up or a heart. And then we can come in after we're done tonight and see the names of those who joined us and send you a little extra hug and blessing. But we love it when you do that. So please do. And that goes for people who are watching just the recording of this later tonight, tomorrow, over the next week, or a year from now. Whenever you watch one of these, if you haven't given us a like or a love, please do that. And that way we know who's tuning in. Appreciate that. We like to open it at this point to questions and answers on the spiritual journey, the path of awakening, God realization, transformation, ascension, meditation, previous lives, post lives, infinite eternal lives. Whatever you'd like to have more light and clarity about, just please add it. You can do that also if you're on the Vimeo platform. And we'll keep checking there. And it kind of nudges the divine to pour inspiration through me and Suzanne that benefits all of us. And some of you make really great comments too. So look inside and just ask that little voice in your heart, is there something I could ask tonight that would help me and everybody else? Or maybe just help me. That's good enough. And I've found it usually takes a few minutes for people to post some questions. So I've been reading quotes, little articles with quotes from famous people that I take from inspiringquotes.com's website. And there are a number of authors that write little articles and selections of quotes that they find to shed light on particular areas of life. This one's called Learn to Find Peace in the Unknown, with these quotes. And this was penned by Paula Bennett. Paula Bennett is a writer based in Brooklyn, New York. She writes a fortnightly newsletter that treasures the mundane called Small Histories. Find her on Instagram at And her name is Paola F. Bennett, Bennet. And that's how you would find her on Inspiring Quotes. So here's what she has to say about making peace with the unknown. Many of us are more interested in what we don't know than what we do. All around us are examples of how the unknown looms large in the human consciousness. In algebra, X represents the unknown factor to solve for. While in business, quote, unknown unknowns, unquote, are events or circumstances that can't be predicted or planned for. Evolutionarily speaking, uncertainty is hard for us to handle. Research shows that an intolerance of uncertainty is a hallmark of anxiety and panic disorders. The stress caused by the unknown can even affect our long-term health. But what happens when we examine that vast, vague realm and begin to rethink how we approach it? What if we could view those infinite fears as infinite possibilities? A 2015 study aimed to reduce delusional thinking in patients by teaching them to consider a greater number of possible outcomes for an unknown situation. Quote, possibility thinking, unquote, an increasingly popular term in business and life coaching, refers to the process of building a broader mindset that can help us apply concrete skills to a goal. Beyond improving the flexibility of our brains, learning to approach the unknown with curiosity rather than fear can also help us feel better. We can cling to dread and steel ourselves for any number of negative outcomes, or we can patiently wait and search for new pathways forward, allowing hope to buoy us up along the way. For those of us who are prone to fearing the unknown, these quotes may help to rewire that perspective. So here we go. Only what is mysterious, undiscovered, and veiled attracts us. Only what is hidden radiates magic that promises untold possibilities. Helmuth Plessner. Far from being a curse, uncertainty can be a source of hope. Okay, so yes, it means that the things we're looking forward to might not be as good as we want them to be, but it also means that the things we dread might not be as terrible as we imagine. Matt Haig. The whole point of life was you couldn't ever be sure what would happen next. Sometimes what happened was good, sometimes not, but there were always surprises. Veronica Henry. Let go of certainty. The opposite isn't uncertainty. It's openness, curiosity, and a willingness to embrace paradox. Tony Schwartz. Keep going, come what may. The goal will become clearer, will emerge slowly but surely, much as the rough draft turns into a sketch. Vincent van Gogh. Life is about not knowing, having to change, taking the moment and making the best of it, without knowing what's going to happen next. Delicious ambiguity. Gilda Radner. Although our intellect always longs for clarity and certainty, our nature often finds uncertainty fascinating. Karl von Clausewitz. Embrace relational uncertainty. It's called romance. Embrace spiritual uncertainty. It's called mystery. Embrace occupational uncertainty. It's called destiny. Embrace emotional uncertainty. It's called joy. Embrace intellectual uncertainty. It's called revelation. Mark Batterson. A hero is someone who voluntarily walks into the unknown. Tom Hanks. It's actually quite a good ethos for life. Go into the unknown with truth, commitment, and openness, and mostly you'll be okay. Alan Cumming. My future seemed to stretch out before me like a straight road. I thought I could see along it for many a milestone. Now, there's a bend in it. I don't know what lies around the bend, but I'm going to believe that the best does. Lucy Maud Montgomery. One of the things we have the most trouble with psychologically as human beings is change. And that always has the element of uncertainty because we don't know how it's going to turn out. Am I going to become a superhero or Frankenstein's monster? You know, it's like, but change is inevitable in every moment. Someone that I met many years ago, an Indian monk, asked a gathering of people, very spiritual, evolved people that had been meditating for years and years and were in very beautiful states. And he said, I want you to really answer me. What are you? I'm serious. What are you? And some people said, I'm a spirit being having a human experience. He said, no. And others said, you know, I'm a child of the living God. No. I am a soul seeking final liberation and union with the all that is. No. And he kept asking. He wouldn't let it stop. And some of these answers were great, you know. I mean, they were really good answers. And he was just about to give up. And one more hand went up. And he said, okay, what are you? And the guy said, I am change. And the monk went, spot on. That's exactly what I was looking for. By the time you could name anything, you know, I'm a human being, I'm brown, yellow, black, blue, rainbow colored, I'm a worker, an author, an art. By the time you say anything that defines what you are, you've changed. You're changing at every instant, every micro instant in the light. We're becoming different. That gives us, because we don't know where that's going exactly, tends to give human beings dread over change. It's very difficult for us. So to be able to embrace change with what these people were saying, openness and curiosity and, you know, just sort of open, creative abandonment to the inevitability of change, that it brings joy and so much fulfillment in life. That's great. I saw something else when we were reading this, that the intellect always wants certainty. However, the mind becomes incredibly bored if all there is certainty. So there's a beautiful teaching that came out, The 6 Needs of the Mind. Various people have presented it in different ways. But there are these pairs of opposites. And the first two are certainty and variety. Change, uncertainty. And it's like, in order to really be happy, we need to have some certainty. I mean, we need to trust that when we close our eyes tonight, the sun will come up in the morning. I mean, little things. We bought an airplane ticket because we have to get to a particular meeting, and we would like to be certain that that is actually going to fly when it's supposed to and get us there. Okay. But if we knew everything in life like that, there'd be no
surprises.
No surprises. Yes, right. It's like going under the Christmas tree and taking all the presents and secretly unwrapping them, seeing what they are, shaking them, holding them up to the light, and then come Christmas morning, no surprise. So there's a balance that we need in life between, creative uncertainty, sort of chaos, really. Variety is the easiest way to put it. We need variety, not everything the same all the time, but we need a degree of certainty. And when those two things are balanced, we're flying on both wings. I'm not going to go through the other of the 6 needs because that's really what applied to this. We were only addressing one wing here. The need for uncertainty, for variety in life, for surprises. But there is a balance on the other side. We need to be secure in certain things. So, you have anything you want to add to that? All right. So, first we have Yekaterina writes, do the planets really have an influence on us or in us? Like this eclipse, can it affect us? Yes, it can. The ambient cosmic energy that we're immersed in all the time does affect us. And we're learning more and more about that right here in mundane ways on Earth. Like there's a basic frequency, the Schumann resonance, 7.83 hertz, which is the typical electromagnetic resonance of planet Earth on Earth level. And when we're in 7.83 hertz, we feel great. We really feel good. We feel calm, we feel creative, we feel flow. Interestingly, that is the same frequency as high theta or low alpha waves, something that people try to get into in meditation and train their brains. 7.83 hertz brain waves are full of creative imagery and it's full of life. But we live in this crazy world where we're being immersed in electromagnetic radiation that is far different than 7.83 hertz. And it can cause a lot of stress. There's a lot of high, you normally think high frequency is good, but as you get above 7.83 up to like 30 hertz, people get very tense. The mind gets agitated. And when the astronauts went into space and spending long periods of time in space, this became an issue because they're outside of the Earth's electromagnetic field. And the astronauts and the cosmonauts were not healing adequately in space. If they were bruised or cut or injured, their bodies weren't healing in space. A group of scientists, I'm not going to get into it because I'm not going to do an advertisement for them. They market their product too. But these German scientists got together with NASA and said, we think we know what the problem is and we can help with it. They're outside of the electromagnetic field of the Earth. If we were to create that pulsed electromagnetic field in space, in the space station for the astronauts, we bet you they start responding and healing naturally like on Earth. And they tried it and it works. And so now there are all these devices. There have been a lot of studies, a rare thing substantiated by the National Institute of Health and dozens of clinical studies. Usually this is like woo-woo they won't touch. But pulsed electromagnetic field therapy is endorsed as a legitimate therapy, and it's used widely by medical practitioners, but those of us who are not can buy PEMF mats, generators that immerse our bodies in these beautiful frequencies. And they've even studied which frequencies affect like the healing of bones or the healing of nerves or athletic injuries. And there are many more frequencies than 7.83 that PEMF generators can produce, and we have several, and we let people use them, and it's amazing what it'll do for things. I'm not going to say stuff on the air because we don't diagnose or prescribe, but we let people experiment with frequency generation on their own circumstances, and it's really amazing. So that's how we're influenced by just like being on Earth or being just in orbit, just outside the Earth. It's long been believed by ancient peoples that we are in this cosmic field that's generated by stars and galaxies and planets. In the Hindu view of cosmology, the influence of the planets is very essential on our lives. And certainly with Western astrology, that's also the concept. And so, depending on when you came into life, this incarnation, and how the planets and the stars were, there was a certain energy grid and field that you came in through that affect what kind of person you are. And you can work with that. I'm not really into astrology, but I've had friends that are master astrologers, both Western astrology, fascinating stuff, Vedic astrology, a whole different deal, and also just amazing what it tells you about a person. So I don't see it as predeterministic. Like some people turn to astrology like to predict their future, their destiny. That's too limiting. What it shows you is the cards you were dealt. It's not the cards you were dealt in life that determine what your life will be, it's how you play those cards. So if you're dealt lemons, make lemonade, you know? Or you can say, oh, woe is me, my life is bitter. It will always be bitter because I was born in a basket full of lemons. Well, lemons are really good. You just got to learn to work with them, you know? And so there are also teachings, astrological teachings about how we're affected by things like lunar eclipses. I can't really address a lot about that because it's not my field, but most people, if you speak English, we have a word lunacy that we use to describe craziness, insanity. We call people sometimes lunatics. And there was that rock song, but it just might be a lunatic you're looking for. And that's an interesting word because it means crazy. Lunacy is craziness. A lunatic is a crazy person. But it comes from the word luna, which is moon. Like in the Latin languages, you'll see that word a lot in various forms. So I've had quite a few friends over the years involved in mental health, counseling, and also law enforcement. And both of them have told me that when there's a full moon, there is a big increase in lunacy, in people just acting nuts, whether they have mental health issues or it's violence and crime and the kind of stuff that cops deal with a lot. It's sort of a fact, and maybe some people think it's superstition, but we're understanding more and more the science of energy and how it affects. The moon reflects the sun, which is our direct solar energy. So the moon represents the reflected consciousness of the mind. And so when the moon is very strong and very full, it lights up the mind. And if the mind has issues, it's going to be reflected in the person's lunacy. And there are other consequences to something like a lunar or a solar eclipse. Just Google it. Ask Lord Google, or whatever search engine you like, and you'll find all kinds of entries about how solar eclipses, lunar eclipses, the planetary arrangements affect human consciousness.
We just noticed it last week at the last full moon. I noticed that people were driving a lot more aggressively than normal. and speeding and making like erratic, reckless decisions for lane changes and stuff. And I looked at Michael and I said, you know, people are driving really crazy. And he said, probably because it's the full moon.
It was the last super moon of the year. When super moons are when the moon is the largest, brightest, and closest to the Earth. And I think there are like 4 a year. Anyway, fun stuff.
Fun stuff.
But don't be limited by cosmic forces. The point is, if you can understand energies and frequencies and cosmic alignments, you can work with that to best navigate the journey where you want it to go, where your heart is directing you and where the divine is calling you. None of this it stops your destiny or your divine journey. Just saying. So Christine asks, do you think our lives are pre-planned by ourselves and our teachers and helpers before we get here? Meaning we plan the awful things we experience and the good experiences also. And do you believe in parallel lives and alternate realities? I'll tell you, there's this reality where I believe all this stuff, and there's this alternative reality where I don't. And there are other alternative realities where I have all kinds of points of view, but look, it is certainly possible, and it depends on the soul. When Paramahansa Yogananda was visited in his mother's womb by the divine in a light body, and he saw the divine and he was conscious in his mother's womb and knew that he was, you know, one with the divine and was entering into his last human body for a very special purpose, a very special mission. I've heard that some of us plan who our families will be, who our parents are, plan life experiences so that we can learn important lessons, resolve karma, open doors to be of service. I don't know, you know, I find it hard enough to plan next week.
Tomorrow.
and I'm pretty awake. We're pretty awake. So I don't like that model. And I heard a very powerful and famous spiritual teacher, whose name I won't mention only because I'm not throwing stones, but I was in this large public meeting with this very famous spiritual teacher, and this woman had shared some of her life experiences. She seemed very hard, very tough, and she had been brutally raped at an early age. And the spiritual teacher said, "So what did you get out of that?" And she's like, "Excuse me? I got raped." "Well, yes, but we planned these, all of our lives are planned before we come in, and you're the one that does it. You've created that life. Why did you create yourself getting raped? What did you get out of it? Because you made a deal with your rapist to do that before you came into this life." And the debate raged in this very large group of people. I mean, I was horrified when I heard this rape victim addressed that way. And then he was bantering with some Jewish person that brought up the Holocaust. And this teacher said that Hitler was a very faithful companion to the Jewish people, that there was an arrangement that he would do that to help them. I didn't think he would make it alive out of that assembly hall. Everybody was, in the end, everybody raised up their hands toward him and prayed and just sent him blessing. And I think he realized he'd gone off the deep end somewhere. But there are parallel lives and alternative realities. Yes, I've seen that. And it's very mind-blowing. But really, we need to focus on this one, the one that we're in. Some people don't like this one and are constantly trying to flip into an alternative reality. And I don't think that's what we're here for. We're here to really bring the fullness of our divine selves in and show up and work on illuminating and transforming this reality?
Early on in my spiritual path, I really believed that I chose my family and my situation and my incarnation. And as I've gotten older, I don't know that I believe that so much, because when I feel like when people get a concept in their head, the mind finds a way to twist it or turn it for different situations. And if we just look at each situation as an opportunity to grow and to improve our experience of being a full human being, which is, physical, mental, psychological, emotional, spiritual, all of the different levels that we have, and to bring them closer and closer into integration with the divine, which is already within us. It doesn't leave me much time to stop and think, I wonder if I pre-planned that or not. It's kind of like it's not important, really. If we keep our eye focused on our own growth and our own expansion and awareness and serving others, it's a pretty full-time job, and that's how we really, really grow. Because we're here to learn lessons, and if you believe in karma, balancing our past things that we may have done in another life. And if we're caught up in wondering, was this happening because I did this? I don't know that if somebody comes up and mistreats you and you're thinking, we probably had a contract to do this from a past life, I don't believe that it works that way necessarily. I think that we have situations arise because we need to learn and grow from them. And it could be anybody that's the messenger. Once we have that frequency or vibration of that trauma still held in us, we're going to keep drawing that to us until that trauma has been integrated in us.
Yeah. So there's more on it, but just one last note on that teacher I was talking about. There was a kid in his 20s that was just totally confused hearing all this about everything's pre-planned and everything's perfect. We're all going into the light. We just have to finish our path. And this kid raised his hand and said, so what you're telling me is that destroyers like the 9/11 bombers are sitting in heaven with Mother Teresa having tea and a good time together, that their reward was the same, whether they slaughtered thousands of people or whether they saved thousands of people with love, the reward is equal because God judges nothing. There is nothing like that. And that was a perfectly good question. I made a good point, and the teacher said, clearly you are a fundamentalist Christian. And the kid wasn't a Christian. He said, I'm not. He said, you must be, or you wouldn't have asked that. He said, I'm not a Christian. I just don't understand. I mean, what's the point of talking about karma if no matter what you do, the result is the same? Why bother? Why do good? Why shine the light? Anyway, it was fun. Sort of. Not at the time, it wasn't. So, and Christine responded, I agree, that teacher was inappropriate. Yeah, it's pretty obvious. And Joanne asks, what about the biomats with crystals? They're great. Mm-hmm. That's a different thing. Certain crystals, jade, tourmaline, especially you'll see amethyst mats filled with particular crystals. When those they naturally give off certain energies that are very healing. I mean, you can just hold an amethyst crystal in your hand and meditate, and it's a nice energy. But if you heat it up, it emits far infrared radiation, which is not the harmful kind. It's near infrared that burns you. Far infrared penetrates deep into the body and is very healing. So those biomats are great. And there are different kinds of them. And you can get biomats that also have PMF frequencies in them and photons that lights that do. It's a really interesting field to look into. And let's see. Yes, you have a nice day too, and a good morning to you. Joanne also says, agree with you, distractions from the task at hand. Talking, yeah, right. And that was directed at Suzanne E. Champlin. Yep.
We actually have a PEMF mat that's kind of a hybrid of the Medi crystals. Ours has 5 different crystals in it, and it does the photon therapy with the lights and far infrared because it heats up. And then it does both sine and square waves on the PEMF generator. So
It's amazing.
it's
stuff.
pretty amazing, yeah. And it cycles through these programs that are about 20 minutes long, and it'll alternate between sine and square waves, which feel very different when you're laying on it.
I had a bad case of sciatica a few years back, and the PEMF mat healed it. I mean, and sciatica is pretty tough customer. Yeah. Anyway, it's painful too. So, yeah. If you want to know more about it, stuff like that, get in touch with me or Suzanne. We'll be glad to share where you can find out more.
We did research for about 3 years before we decided on the one we wanted to get.
But we have tons of information about what these different therapies do, especially the pulsed electromagnetic field. And some of the rife frequencies are amazing to experiment with. That's a whole different deal. It uses a plasma tube that radiates out 30, 40 feet in all directions and can produce millions of different frequencies. So you can experiment with different frequencies from 1 hertz up to like 20 million. And it's fun. Having said all of that, when I need healing, I turn first of all to the presence. And the presence is so powerful in our lives that there's really rarely a need to use an electrical frequency generator of any kind. I mean, the divine knows exactly what you need and is right there to give it to you, which is why we're going to move on now and open ourselves to exactly that. So close your eyes, if you would. Yekaterina says, now I have my mat.
Oh, nice.
Good.
Yeah, you tried it when you were here for the workshop.
You are completely immersed in the ocean of the divine presence, an infinite ocean of pure light, love, all-knowing, all-wise, omnipotent. And this divine loves you so much. The presence is pure love, and there is no separation. That is an illusion of the mind that needs to be erased. The truth is oneness. You have never ceased to be one with the divine. So let the presence flood you with grace. It loves you. It yearns to free you from suffering, to enlighten you, to flood your mind with inspired thinking, inspired feelings and emotions, and erase all of that negative stuff from the mind, from the emotions, from the subconscious. Just receive. This presence will heal your body, will heal your relationships, will shine through you into all of your connections with the outer world, bringing light, life, peace, and transformation. Just drink it in, receive, breathe it in, drink it in. Keep receiving and allowing the presence Imagine we're sitting in a circle together, a blessing circle, and lift up your hands with your eyes closed, your palms open, facing forward. Let us take a strong intention and invite the divine to pour the presence, the flowering heart blessing through every one of us to each other. Tonight, I would like us to picture the planet Earth in the middle of our circle, the beautiful blue planet. Whether you can really picture it or not doesn't matter. Take an intention to focus in on the Middle East, on the Holy Land, holy to many people, and torn with war. And let us ask the God of peace to bring war to an end. There, in Israel, in Ukraine, in Gaza, in Africa, everywhere that violent armed conflict is unfolding, let us take a strong intention that divine grace would bring it to an end, melt away the anger, the hatred, the fear, the hurt, the pain, and replace it with love. May the hand of the divine, the light beings, the holy angels go forth to protect innocent people caught in the middle of these conflicts, that they be not harmed, that they be protected, rescued. By the intervention of the divine itself. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Now you can just relax your hands in your lap somewhere. And when you're ready, open your eyes and make direct eye contact with Suzanne and or me as we dive into the light meditation. All of our eyes are open. Just keep looking at least one of our eyes without looking away. During this meditation, Suzanne and I are flooded with oceans of divine grace. It floods through every pore of our being to you, but especially through our eyes. Mystics have called the eyes the doorways of the soul. When you just keep looking, there's nothing you need to ask or do, just keep looking and receive. The light shines out through our eyes, into your eyes, through your eyes, into your heart of hearts, causing the light of awakening and the fires of divine love to burn brighter and brighter and brighter within you. close your eyes now. Meditate with us a few more minutes as the grace settles within you. And keep meditating as long as it feels nice to you. Or find a place nearby to lie down in Shavasana. That's a yoga pose where you lie on your back comfortably with your eyes closed, your arms loosely at your sides, with the palms open, turned upward. And just let yourself dissolve with gratitude in the presence. We love you very much.
Much love, light, and blessings.
Until we meet next, know that the divine in us beholds the divine in you. And we bow to you. Namaste.